Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video on the BMW E36 328i, proudly brought to you by All Things Motoring. Now, in this video we're going to be giving the exterior some love because I think it needs it. And to do that, we're going to give it a nice DIY home detail. Now, I'm no professional detailer, but I could say I'm a professional home car washer. Now, I've done a few car washes in my time, and there's a general system that I use, which is pretty easy and everyone should be able to do it, and you probably are doing it anyway. But for those who don't, you can listen along, maybe get some tips, and this is exactly what I use. So I've got a 2-bucket method, which I'll get into. So 2 buckets, a wheel cleaner, a very basic pressure washer, a very basic old pressure washer, but it still does the job. I've also got just some basic high foaming soap, a degreaser, wash mitts, and then some drying towels after the process, so that we can then get into what I kind of told you guys about last week. Not last week, I wish it was last week, last video, the DIY home polisher. And then I've also got a brand new badge to put onto the boot because the badge on the rear is looking very sad. Now, if there's any nice upgrade you want to do to your car, it's making sure that those badges are looking fresh. So we're going to get into the wash and then get into a bit of a polish, and then at the end we're going to replace the badge because that's going to be the cherry on top. So let's get into it. Now, there's a couple areas that I want to be careful with the pressure washer, and that's definitely going to be up here where I've got the cracking paint and the peeling, which we're hopefully going to fix later down the line, as I showed you guys in the previous video. But for now, it's not really dirty, but I just want to actually just get most of this off so that I can then start to polish and maybe bring a little bit of life back to the exterior before it goes on its long journey of getting fixed up. But for now, a basic nice home wash. And oh yes, so this badge was looking fine, so this one's actually looking very nice. It was just the badge at the rear here, which was the one that we were going to replace, because that's not looking nice, but this does look nice. So a nice fresh badge on the back there. And once the car is clean, before I start polishing, I will need to do a little bit of a clay bar, and I'll show you exactly what this is for, how to do it, and the importance of doing this to make sure that your paint is super clean. Okay, now the first thing that I'm going to do is just give the car a bit of a rinse, get off all the dust and loose dirt that I can for now. Then I'm going to come in with the degreaser, just spray over the wheels and the parts of the car that are going to get most of the grease. So around the wheel arches at the back, the front and the rear, nowhere else really, but just to let that soak in, and then I'll go talk about the buckets. Okay, it's now time to grab the degreaser. Now, this is nothing special, but I think that this one works nicely, and it's worked nicely for me in the past. So if you want to go check it out, this is the one that I use. So I generally do this just around the front on all the wheels, let that sit in over there, a little bit over here, around the back, and the last wheel. Now, I'm not going to be trying to make these the cleanest wheels in the world because I do have a new set. They are in the garage. I've got them, they're waiting, but for now I'm not going to make these as perfect and new and clean because I don't need to. I'll be replacing them. So I will give you a quick little peek at what those wheels look like. So if you're wondering why I'm not taking the wheels off to do a full detail, because I don't need to. Okay, now I did say that I use 2 buckets, and the reason that I use 2 buckets is because I like to keep the one bucket that's got the soap in nice and clean, and I use the other bucket to rinse off the sponge or the microfiber hand mitts in between washes. So it always keeps whatever dirt's come off the car in the rinse bucket, and you've always got a nice clean bucket for your soap in to wash with. Now, I'm not going to slowly show you how to wash the car. I'm sure you guys know how to wash a car, so I'll quickly do a little time lapse of me washing, and then we'll get into the next step. Okay, so the car is now all clean and rinsed and ready to get clay barred, and I've got the clay bar here. Now I'll show you on screen. This is what it looks like. It's literally just like blue clay. I'm just warming it up to make it nice and malleable again. And all you're going to do now is essentially rub this on the car, with the car being nice and wet. You don't want it to be on a dry surface, you want some lubrication. So you can even use the bucket over there of the soap, but you're going to essentially dip it in the water, and then in smooth, straight directions, you're going to rub this on the paint, and you'll see exactly the difference it's going to make now. So grab your clay, dip it in your lubricant or your water, bring it onto the paint, and you're just going to move it across in the same direction, just like this. And as it's moving along, it's picking up all of the dirt and contamination inside the paint, and you'll just make your way across the car as you go along, just like this. And I'm pretty sure that even just after this little section here, you'll see a whole bunch of dirt, and I've just cleaned the car. So there you go. There's some of the dirt that is picked up so far, all those little black bits and pieces. So that's what's stuck in the paint, and that's what you want to get out. I'm going to carry on. I'm going to do the whole car, and then we'll dry it up and take it from there. So I've got two basic towels here. I've got just a normal red microfiber that I'm going to use to kind of wipe the excess water, and then a nice thick drying towel that I'll use to do the final dry with, and just keep rinsing this out and using this, and I should be golden. And again, just try and do as many straight one directional drags or wipes as possible to avoid making more scratches or swirls in the paint. Now obviously I've got a lot in here already, so it's not going to make much of a difference for me, but for you guys at home, just try take note of that. Now I do have a squeegee that I would normally use to get the water off the windows to avoid me having to wet the towel more than I need, but I'm too lazy to get it. Now if you're enjoying this sort of content, then I'm sure you're going to love All Things Motoring, who are actually my partner and made this build possible. Now All Things Motoring is a website and TV show dedicated to, well, all things motoring, and they showcase the best of what South Africa has to offer in the form of events, car shows, breakfast runs, drives, and everything in between. So go check them out. As I said, they're on DSTV channel 189, and all of the videos are on YouTube too. Okay, it's all dry. Now it's time to take it inside. Yep, I never moved the bucket out the way, so that could have ended badly. My spidey sensors were tingling because I don't have park sensors. So I'm grateful for that. Okay, we're now in the garage to attempt to polish it DIY style. So I've got a couple of these pads that you can connect just to a basic home drill. You can get a pretty good result. That's what I'm hoping and praying for. You also get some bigger ones here, and you can see that they kind of just work on like a Velcro system. So you can just replace them when they're done or like being used too much. But I'm not going to use the big one for now. I want to kind of keep it more controlled with a smaller one. Now I've gone and I've put some polish onto the actual pad itself, because if I put it onto the actual bodywork, I think it's just going to fling everywhere. So this is what we're using, and then I'm just kind of priming it, is what they'd say, putting it into here. And as you can see, I've done the true YouTube thing, and I've put a nice little piece of tape down the middle to show you a side-by-side finish and exactly how it's going to look afterwards. Either it's going to look pretty badass and I've achieved what I set out to do, or it's going to look no different and you've learned nothing, except I've done it so that you don't have to. Now, I'm trying to keep it as controlled as possible, also going, just like everything I've done, washing, drying, clay barring, everything to try and do it in uniform patterns to get the best result. Now, I'm eager to see what this looks like. It's gone, I'll actually quickly just show you here. So, it's gone quite hazy, as you can see there, compared to the other side here, which is very cloud-like now, but that's without even done anything on there. So it's currently very hazy. I'm going to do one more pass over, and then we'll take the microfiber to it and clean it up and see if it's made any difference. But firstly, you can see that it's taken off quite a bit of dirt from the surface too. So it's definitely making a difference because this was all in and on the paint. And this time I'm going to go in this direction. Just now I went in that direction. And I am overlapping each layer slightly too, so there's no gap in between. Now to see if it made a difference. Okay, now this is the final hazy look that I'm sitting with. Got a nice clean microfiber and just going to buff off what's left here. Okay, so it's the next morning and I thought I would bring it out here into better light so we can actually see the big difference. So you can still see here that it's quite hazy still. So we'll finish this off, buff off everything that I need to. I did do a lot of this last night too. I did one more pass over this morning with the polisher, just because I felt like I needed to. So here we go. Look at that. Now there's a lot of the stuff in this paint that I'm not going to be able to fix. So a lot of this is beyond what I can do. And there's lots of weird lines in it there. Oh no, the supervisor's back. Okay, better not see this over here. Then obviously, looks like someone's used this boot lid as a coaster. And that's also beyond what I can fix. So, but I mean, regardless, I think that the finish on here is actually pretty good compared to how it was originally. Very hazy, nice and shiny. It does have a weird speckle and stuff in it, and here's that line that's carried through, but obviously it's made a nice difference. So let's see side by side. That white stuff's just the paint, I mean the paint, just the polish. Which one it comes off here. There you go, a distinct difference versus how it was before. Shiny, matte. Well, let's get on to finishing this boot lid. So I went and pulled out the fluffier pad, which actually took out most of the previous polish for some reason. So it wasn't coming off nicely, but once I used the softer pad here, it helped lift up that old polish that I just put on. And again, a really nice finish, as you can see from side to side here. Just move that out the way. Nice and shiny, a much better difference compared to how it was originally. Now I'm just going to carry on with the back of this boot lid so that I can also get on to putting this badge on for you, and then I'll go touch up and polish the rest of the car where applicable, where I feel like it needs it and where I'm not going to be pulling up more cracked paint. So let me go do all of those touch-ups. And then one of those areas I'm definitely going to want to see if it made a difference is going to be on the bonnet. So just running a line here, but not pressing down too hard on these cracked areas because I don't want to pull up what's there. So we'll put it down here, just get a good gauge of whether it's made a difference or not. So let's see. Okay, I brought it into the shade because it was getting a little bit too hot out there. I've managed to buff everything off. And I'm noticing a very, very nice shine here. But the difference is it's shining where it can, because a lot of this here is paint that's cracked and bubbling and peeling off. So in between where it can shine and improve, it is. So here we go, looking at the bonnet now, and I'm very happy with the finish here. You can see it is getting to almost mirror-like, but one of the biggest differences I am noticing here, which is quite positive, is that the bonnet did have quite a few of these fine scratches along here, which you can see on the left hand side, which has come out on this side. Now again, that's all the bubbles in the paint that I'm not going to be able to, bubbles and scratches and stuff that I'm not going to be able to fix. Again, I'm also not going to be able to fix that because I don't have the same nail varnish color. Okay, so I've cleaned up and polished the car as best as I can, but it's now time for what I've been looking forward to the most, which is replacing this horrific badge with the new one. So I've also been looking up and doing a little bit of research into what could be the best way to do this without ruining, breaking, because trust me, clips and things like that in this car are an issue. But I've looked into what's best that I can do to get this out, so I'm going to give it a try and let's see if it works. So what I'm going to try here, and one of the things that I learned was, in order to get this out here, you need to pull this away. Now you don't want to pull from one side because then it might break there, and you don't want to pull from that side either. And there's two little pins inside here. So what I've also read and David suggested is you use this here that comes on your packaging in boxes. It's like this plastic tape or whatever they call it, and you're meant to slide that in. Doesn't really want to go in, does it? I can maybe try. There we go. Oh, that was simpler than I thought. Other one come out. There we go. Okay, so that's... Oh, what is that? Look at this. I don't know what that stuff is. And I don't want to touch it, but... Oh my gosh. It's like press stick. Anyway, that's coming out. Now, something I wasn't too sure whether I needed to replace were these little grommets that hold in the badge in the back there. From some of the videos I saw, they came out, they broke out, or they just don't work anymore. But these ones still seem to be okay. I did go and get some anyway, if you can see there. So I got replacement ones regardless. I don't think I'm going to need them. But if I have any issues with those ones, then I know exactly where to go and get new ones from because they're sitting in the garage. Okay, and now for possibly the most satisfying part of this video, the new badge. Just apply even pressure. Just like so. Then it goes in. Perfect. But it's not done until this comes off. Okay, now just before I call it a wrap on this video, I thought I would go and see if I can bring some more life and rejuvenate some of the plastics around this car just a little bit. So this is going to be along the bumpers, maybe on some of the door beading and things like that. So let's see if this works. I do have a glove on because this is going to get quite dirty. So I'll put this on, let it sit, buff it off, and then we'll go take a quick look at the car and see what progress we've made in this video. Now this here luckily wasn't too discolored. I think it was more about just trying to make it more uniform. So there, that's on. I'll let it just sit for a couple seconds. Put it on, but it's leaving a bit of streaks. So I thought I'd... buff it a little, and it's left quite a nice finish. Cool, I'm happy with that. Bring some life back into this. If if you put it on too streaky, that's how it dries. So I'm trying to give it little circular motions to try and avoid that. And from a side-by-side point of view, I think that's quite nice. Okay, one more, and then I'll do the other ones too, but I'm not going to show you that because this is exactly how you do them. Very nice, I like. And then just to touch up some of the beading as well. And then something else I'll show you in the reveal now too is just applying this black. I mean, look there. You just touch it and it just transforms. So getting this into all those, nooks and crannies, just showing the black a little bit of love. I mean, look at that stark difference there already. New, old. And after hours of washing, clay barring, drying, polishing and everything like that, I don't think that this is a bad result. Yes, there's a lot of surface damage and it needs a lot of love, but I'm very happy with how I've been able to bring the paint back a little bit. Obviously there's places that I'm not going to be able to save, and I know that, so I'm trying to be realistic. But obviously these panels here, they're a lot shinier than what they were before. Coming around the doors, I've now gone and darkened these plastics too. And as you can see here, this is what this now looks like. So this was also that dull gray. It's now gone back to black. And let me tell you, once you start doing all of this stuff here, you then start to find all of these. And once you go black, you can't stop making everything else black. I'm going to end it there. Okay, but yes, this is what it looks like. I'm very happy. It's coming together nicely. I'm starting to fall in love with it even more and more. And yes, I know it's my car, but it's feeling a lot more like my car because I'm getting more hands-on with it. And I'm really enjoying doing this content for you guys. So please let me know if you're enjoying this. I love getting to know my car. The benefit about washing your own car is that you get to understand everything about it. You know where all the bumps are, you know where all the scratches are, you know where all the dents are. And you start to form a relationship with the car. And every time there's a new dent or ding, you know about it because it wasn't there before and no one can ever trick you. And if there's anything that's a highlight of this video for me, it's definitely just going back and giving all of these black elements some extra love. I love how they've just started to come back to life. They're shining, they're popping, and for me, that's what also makes a big difference here, is the contrasting black elements. And obviously, that brand new badge, which just looks... We've now come to the end of another build video in my BMW E36 328i project, brought to you by All Things Motoring. Now make sure that you are subscribed because you don't want to miss it. I've got other videos coming up, and in the next video I'm going to be tackling a little bit more of the interior and changing the audio. So we're going to be changing the speakers up front, the speakers in the rear, as well as the head unit, and getting some more modern audio into this car. Now if you know anything about an E36, changing the speakers in the rear isn't fun because you're not meant to. So you're supposed to have brackets and all that sort of stuff. I've got them. I'm going to do it the right way, and I know I'm going to break a lot of clips. It was bound to happen, but until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers. Trying to get into these weird positions is not fun, but it does click your back really nicely. Look at that, got the head rub. Success. There's lights and it's working.